Okay, welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Bonjour, bonjour à tous, à toutes. Comment ça va? Ça va bien? Bon. Uh, so this week is lesson 9. It's the second to last lesson, which is wild. This semester's moved quick for me. I'm sure school is, for some of you, maybe it's dragging. For some of you, it's moving quick. But either way, I hope it's all going well. So this lesson, we're going to talk about l'école et le système éducatif, the school. We're going to talk about school and the education system. So yeah, what are we going to cover? What are we going to cover this week? This week, we are going to talk about vocab and grammar that's relative to school teaching and learning. And we're going to compare and contrast the French and American education system. We'll make some comparisons and contrasts between the structure and the types of content. I don't really put facts in here about the American education system because we're all technically in the American education system right now. So I figured everything is relevant and I can just refer to it depending on the topic. So instead of having to put whole slides in here of information that we already know, we'll just refer to it in the situation. And then lastly, we'll talk about student life in both countries. Again, we're really going to just talk about student life in France, and we'll compare that, and I'll refer to how different it is to the American student life compared to, or excuse me, with those two different types of systems. Sorry, losing my words for a second. So, le vocabulaire et la grammaire. Vocabulary and grammar. So what are we going to do first? We got verbs. This is the grammar for the lesson. So le français, English, or anglais. First we have étudier. Étudier means to study. Faire des devoirs. Faire des devoirs. It's always des devoirs, not les devoirs. Because it's translated a little differently from French to English, or from English to French. So faire des devoirs means to do homework. Taper means to type. Passer un examen. Passer un examen is to take a test, not to pass a test, even though I can understand making the mistake. I did it myself before. Passer un examen, to take a test. Écrire, which we learned about before, means to write. Lire, which means to read. And then réussir à un examen. Réussir à un examen, to pass a test. So réussir and not is to pass, not passer. Passer means to take. So I get it with the difference. I get making the mistake because it looks like to pass. So it's understandable. Okay, des mots du vocabulaire. Vocabulary words. First we have une école, a school. Un étudiant, or une étudiante. So I have the two different structures here for the masculine and feminine form. Sorry. So un étudiant is a male student, and then une étudiante is a female student. Un collège is not college, it's a middle school. So un collège is middle school. Un collégien is a male middle schooler. Une collégienne is a female middle schooler. Un lycée is a high school. Un lycéen is a male middle schooler, and une lycéenne is a female high schooler. Sorry, not middle schooler. So un lycéen and une lycéenne. And you have une université. Une université is a university or a college. And you have the same thing with the masculine and feminine. Un professeur, or une professeure, which is a professor. And then you have un enseignant, or une enseignante, which is a teacher. Excuse me. More words. We got a bunch this lesson. Un cours, or une classe, means a course or a class. Then you have une salle de classe, a classroom. Then you have des devoirs again, so homework. Un sac à dos means a book bag. It literally means a bag on the back, or at the back. Because you have un sac, which means a bag, and then à, or at, or on, and then you have a dos, which means your back. So un sac à dos, a book bag. Oh, excuse me. Then you have un livre, which is a book. Un cahier is a notebook. Un stylo is a pen. Un crayon is not a crayon or a crayon, however you pronounce it. Un crayon is a pencil. Une gomme is not gum, it's an eraser. Un bureau, which I think we've learned before, is a desk. Le papier is paper. Une calculatrice is a calculator. And un ordinateur is a computer. Then we have un taille crayon, which is a pencil sharpener. Un taille crayon. Une trousse, une trousse, it's a pencil case. It's a little bit of a hard word to pronounce with TR, the French TR, and that French R, but it's une trousse. Then you have une règle, a ruler. Un classeur, which is a binder. Un dictionnaire, which is a dictionary. Un examen, again, a test. And then un tableau, a chalkboard. Tableau can also mean a painting, so it just depends on the setting. But in the classroom, un tableau means chalkboard. Subjects, school subjects, we got l'histoire, means history. Les maths, math. Les sciences, science. Le sport, which normally means PE. La littérature, literature. L'anglais, English. And then le commerce, business. Le commerce. These aren't all the subjects that are taught in French schools. This is just what I thought would be most relevant to us. If you look up subjects taught in French schools, I'm sure you'll find plenty of other, well, I know you will. You'll find specific sciences like biology or biologie or chemistry or la chimie or geography or la géographie. So there's a bunch of different ones. I just figured this will cover it enough. So what do we got next? A video. Okay. So this video is just a quick video. It's basically just going over a good amount of the vocab we just did.
Bonjour tout le monde. In this video, we are going to look at the object in my school bag, les objets dans mon sac. You can pause this video at any time. You can also repeat the French after me to practice your pronunciation.
Other than now, I won't pause the video to go over words, but you could pause my video when I post this to look over the words and hear them again as much as you need.
Un sac.
Un sac.
Un stylo.
Un stylo.
Un livre.
Un livre.
Un crayon.
Un crayon.
Un cahier.
Un cahier.
Un carnet de texte.
Un carnet de texte. So I lied. I am pausing it again. There's another way to say a notebook, or I believe that's notebook. But anyway, let's continue.
Un portable.
Un portable.
Un porte-monnaie.
Un porte-monnaie.
Une trousse.
Une trousse.
Une gomme.
Une gomme.
Une calculatrice.
Une calculatrice.
Une règle.
Une règle. Yeah, so that's the video. I'll go right to the whole list. Boom. All right, there's the whole list. I wouldn't say you necessarily would have your phone or maybe your purse or wallet in your book bag, but this is definitely a good list. You can go back through, listen to what she says, listen to my repetition, excuse me, and I repeat it after her, and you can repeat with me in the video. So yeah, just a quick little video.
Bonjour tout.
Sorry. So I'm doing a little bit of a different activity. We did matching stuff before at the beginning with the earlier lessons, but I just did it in the PowerPoint instead of creating a worksheet. Figured, I can't ask as many questions because it would take up time, but I can get some stuff. I can get some stuff through the presentation. So what you're going to do in this activity is you're going to put the English on this side and then you're going to put the French on that side. So you're going to, so you're just going to, it's technically not so much a matching activity and more so you filling out everything. You could just write it down in your notes. So the first one is obviously it's book bag, and you have pencil and pen, ruler, test, notebook. So just tell me what those, just write down in English, and then you could do like a little arrow to go over to translate it into French and then write the French word. So, yeah, I hope, oh, excuse me. Hope that's a nice little activity. Okay, le système éducatif français, the French education system. All right, so the French public education system is compulsory, but it is available to all students who attend local schools. There are private schools, and there are other types of schools that may cost money. The overall system is broken up into 3 levels. You have l'enseignement primaire, l'école primaire, which is basically primary school, so elementary school, and depending on the district or the local or the community, sometimes they will have a local preschool, excuse me. L'enseignement secondaire is le collège et le lycée. So secondary school, which is middle school and high school. And then finally, you have l'enseignement supérieur, l'université. So finally, then you have where I'm at, which is superior education level, or higher education technically, which is university. So l'école primaire, or primary school, students start primary school at roughly 5 to 6 years old, but they can go to, like I said, a public preschool, or l'école maternelle. I'm missing an E in here. There should be an E after the T. I did not see that. But maternelle, as young as the age of 3. So they could start school really young. Students in preschool then, I think it's pretty similar to what we would do if you went to preschool. I went to preschool myself. Basically, you learn to recognize numbers, letters, you learn to comprehend oral language. Yeah. And then students in elementary school start to learn how to read, write, and other basic necessary skills. Students stay in primary or elementary school for 5 years, and they leave when they're roughly 10, 11 years old to go to middle school. It's pretty much the same for us. If you count kindergarten, it's technically 6 years, it's a little different, but you do normally leave around 10 or 11 to go to 6th grade in middle school. So l'école secondaire, first, le collège et le lycée, excuse me, so secondary school, middle school, and high school. First, we're going to talk about middle school. Students stay in middle school for 4 years in France, and they stay until they are 14 years old, or 15, depending on when you left elementary school. This is one of the big structural differences. They're there for 4 years. We're only there for 3 years. But we still get to high school roughly at the same age. It's like 14. So I guess where they have 5 years and then it's still 9 years altogether. We have 6 in elementary school and 3 in middle school while they have 5 and 4. So it's structurally altogether, it's the same before you get to high school, the same amount of years, but it's broken up differently. And then coursework for middle schoolers and at the other levels cover, mainly at the secondary level, cover literature, history, math, science, and other electives like foreign languages, theater, art, and other specific courses that students can take. But yeah, this is middle school, and middle school is, other than the extra year, everything should pretty much be really similar. And then high school, le lycée. So high school only lasts for 3 years, which is a really big difference because we have it for 4. So, and it's for students who are from 15 to 18. So they do get to high school a year later than we do, but it's because they have that 4th year of middle school. So there's different types of high school in France. They have general high schools which follow like a general track, and then there's specific high schools like say there might be a technological high school or a scientific high school. or maybe like a specifically liberal arts high school. It's very, very it's specified by the time you get to high school, and it's very, you're kind of boxed into a certain track, which has its ups and has its downs. For students who don't want to go to university and want to do a trade or some other profession, they can go to CFA, or Le Centre de Formation des Apprentis, or the Center of the Formation of Apprentices. And here they'll be able to earn a CAP, or a Certificat d'Aptitude Professionnelle, or a professional aptitude certificate, excuse me. If you keep studying French and you stick with it and you really, really dig into it, you'll come to learn that the French, like we Americans in many ways, love acronyms. They love acronyms. So there's an acronym for everything. So you have le CFA and le CAP, so it's everything. For students who stay in high school, again, they'll follow their specific track. They'll take certain courses that meet the requirements for that track. It's very similar. It's kind of similar to college, but it's in high school. I mean, they still hit the basic subjects, but they do have that specific track. But by the end of high school, everybody has to take what is known as le baccalauréat. Le baccalauréat. It's a little hard to say. It's easier. I always just say le bac. And from my experience and my host family, the girls who are in that family always just refer to it as le bac. And there are three types of tests or bacs, three bacs in France, excuse me. Le bac général, le bac technologique, et le bac professionnel. So the general one is basically like the general track. They follow it's a very broad test, and it covers a lot of different subjects. The technologique test is technological, and it's specific for technological schools. And then professionnel has to do with business or commerce or economics. It's very, so if somebody wants to go to business school, they would follow that track in high school and they would take that test. So I think I have one more. So yeah, we're going to learn here un jour typique pour des lycéens et des lycéennes. So you have a typical day for high schoolers. So yeah, this is where it gets a little different, and I didn't get this specific in middle school or elementary school because it had just taken forever. But and this I figured might be the most relevant because either you're in high school right now or you'll be going to high school depending on what level you're watching this at. And I was, even though high school for me was a little over 4 years ago, it's still fresh in my mind. So high school in France runs on a 5-day schedule. They mainly have full days on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and they have half days on a Wednesday or even a Saturday. So I can attest to the Saturdays. Again, one of the girls in my host family when I stayed in Paris, she was a senior in high school, and she was, or junior. But anyway, she was close to ending high school, and she was studying and getting ready for the bac. And she, just as a regular student, she was at school all the time for a very long day. It's a very, very, very serious process in France. And, the day's a little different, but they do have half days on Saturdays. It's weird. I never expected to experience that. But again, I was in Paris, so it's very simple to get to the school. They're close by. For me, it was a 10 to 12-minute drive to my school from home. So, the commute's a little different. So the environment's different. The community's different. But anyway, so they have the 5-day schedule and the 4 days of full days, 4 days of full days, and 1 day of a half day. So in the morning, they start their day at roughly 8 or 9 a.m. So it's a little short. It's a little later than when we started. I know I started school at 8 a.m. So I guess it is similar. And but I know that my old high school now starts school as early as 7:30. So it's early, and students, the morning lasts till about 12 p.m. and the students have lessons for 4 hours with a general 15-minute break, roughly at 10 a.m. midday, which I would say is the biggest difference compared to the biggest difference between our type of high school and their high school. Midday is roughly 12 to 1 or 2 p.m. Students get an hour to 2 hour lunch break, and they can either go home or they can stay and eat at the school. So you can leave the premises, you can leave the school premises and you can go out and get lunch. You can go home, take a break. It's very different. I was kind of, when I first learned about all this, I was kind of envious towards the French students. I wish I had a break like this. But then again, I don't know if I were to have such a long break, I don't know if I'd be willing to get back into work because I'd be tired and I wouldn't want to do anything for the rest of the day because by the time I'd have to come back, it's 1 or 2 p.m. And I'm like, why do we got to do this? So again, I think it has its ups and downs. And then lastly, you have the afternoon and the evening. This is another big difference. They have classes from 2 to 5 or 6 p.m. I remember leaving school myself would be like 3:15. We would be done, something like that. 3:30, I think I would get home. And then students have 3 to 4 more hours of lessons with a general 15-minute break at 3:30 or 4 o'clock. And I can attest from my own experience with my host family that the one girl in high school she was at school until 6 p.m. pretty much every day. So they're long days. And then they have their extracurricular activities, which usually would take place on when they would have meetings on Wednesdays and whatnot, or Saturdays. And it would just be at the end of a long regular day. And then they have homework. So it's a lot, but it's just different. It's a lot different compared to us, which isn't a bad thing. I think I would love to have tried this system in high school. I would love to have seen what this would have been like. Um, Maybe if it was more accessible, the lunch thing would be okay. I don't know how I'd feel about doing school till 5 or 6 p.m., but who knows? Maybe it would help because you get the half day on Wednesday or Saturday and you get that whole Wednesday off. Who knows? But yeah, I think this is interesting. And then university, which is a big thing for me, since I'm in university here, or maybe you all will eventually go on to university or some type of tech school or something. University or college in France is a lot different. The back in high school kind of acts as their SATs, and that is their entrance exam. Entrance exam. Excuse me, for the university, and depending on which test you take, depends on what school you want to go to, and also your score. You can only go to certain schools with a certain score. It's very similar here with the SATs. Certain schools expect more out of students and certain schools expect average. Some are lower than average. It just all depends on the school. Most universities are state funded by the national government, therefore they're extremely cheap. It could be roughly as low as €200 per year for undergrads. So let me see here if I could do the math off the top of my head. I think €200 is probably $350 roughly. I don't think it's as much as 400, so it's probably $350, $375, somewhere around there, roughly, I think. So again, that's extremely cheap. Again, I'm very envious of the university students at this point. There are also schools known as les grandes écoles, which are just another type of university. They're specific institutions that focus on one subject or profession, and a lot of times it's elite students that attend them. So I would say this is like the French Ivy League, but at these schools they focus on they have a very specific curriculum. Like I said, there's normally one profession or one type of subject. You could have one that's specifically business, one that's specifically liberal arts, one that's specifically theater, one art, it depends. Excuse me. And then the length of university is a lot different there. You can get your licence, which is roughly, I would say, is similar to a undergraduate degree here in the United States. It's broken up by semesters. You would have to go to school for 6 semesters, which is 3 years, and you could get a licence. and then it would be 4 semesters for a master. So yeah, I believe that's right. I hope that's right. It should be 4 semesters for a master, but licence is 6 years. That's where you get your undergrad. That's like your undergrad degree. So it's a little different. It's a little different. It's a lot cheaper. So it's a little shorter. It's nice. Again, my experience in France was a little different because it was a school that accommodated for American students. So it was French, and we had a French system, and but the French, it's not specifically they accommodate for how our system is set up. So we take the class in a we approach the class in a French-like manner and structure, but we have to still meet the requirements for an American system. It's different. So now we have a different video. This video is nice. It explains the system. She's a French teacher, but she definitely explains the system a lot better than I do.
Want to speak real French from your first?
Yeah.
Hi everybody, Candice here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I answer your most common French questions. The question for this lesson is, how does the French school system work and what is the baccalauréat? Le baccalauréat is an exam that students can take at the end of their secondary education. Taking the exam will give you a diploma that shows your skill level of certain subjects. Le baccalauréat, or le bac, is also required in order to go into a university. There are 3 different types of baccalauréat: le baccalauréat général, le baccalauréat technologique, and le baccalauréat professionnel. Le baccalauréat général is further split up into series, kind of like majors. You can pursue le baccalauréat économique et social, ES, le baccalauréat littéraire, L, or le baccalauréat scientifique, S.
So again, like I said, it's very specific in French high school. This is the economic and social bac, the literature, and then the scientific bac. So even in the general bac, they break it down even more and take specific ones, and it would show your ability to go to a school that has that specific type of background. So yeah, it's
This
very specific.
Students to enter universities. Le baccalauréat technologique has 8 series and prepares students for working in laboratories, management, or applied arts. Many students go on to study these subjects at university. Le baccalauréat professionnel prepares students to begin working immediately. You can specialize in over 80 different subjects, like industrial maintenance or electric systems. Le bac is scored out of 20, like all French exams. A 10 is a passing grade. A 12 or 13 is assez bien, or satisfactory. 14 or 15 is bien, or good. And 16 or above is très bien, very well done.
So I was going to talk about this earlier, but I figured I could just address it in the video. Yes, the grading system is completely different. It's out of 20, like she said, for everything. They don't just do that for the bac. I got this in my own experience through school over there. 10 out of 20 is not 50%. It is passing. It's not great, but it's passing. And like she said, 12, I think, is bien or good. And then 15 is assez bien, which is satisfactory. And then you have 16 plus. Anything 16 to 20 is an A. I think 15 to 13 is a B. 12 and 11, I think, is a B minus. And then a 10 out of 20 is a C. So it's, and then anything, I think, anything below that is failing. So yeah, it's wild, but it's nice. It's really cool. It's really different. It feels so much different. You think you're doing horrible, but you're not. So it's a shock. That was almost a cultural shock for me.
Le baccalauréat takes a long time to complete. If you take le baccalauréat général série scientifique, you will have to sit for 12 exams total. And some of the exams are 4 hours long. Because of this, students spend their last 2 years preparing for le bac. The school system up until university is quite different from the US system. We'll go through them in chronological order.
She's going to talk about these specifically, and she's going to give you the French names for each. This is why I picked this video. It's awesome.
École maternelle is preschool and starts at age 2 to 5. CP is first grade and the first year of école élémentaire. CE1, CE2, CM1, CM2. Sixième is similar to 6th grade. In France, it is the first year of collège or middle school. Cinquième, quatrième, troisième. Seconde is the first year of lycée or high school. Première is when students would begin studying for le bac. This is the year they would take les épreuves anticipées, exams that everyone takes. Terminale is the last year of lycée. Students spend this year studying for the specific type of bac they want to take.
Oh, that's froze a little bit. Where are we at here? Okay, so as you can see, it counts down from 6. It's sixième, which is 6th, then cinquième, 5th, quatrième, 4th, troisième, 3rd, seconde, 2nd, première, 1st. So it counts down from 6th grade. It doesn't count up. It's very different in that aspect. And then terminal, which means last terminal, that is different than 12th grade. So they don't count up from the bottom like we do. Their grades for elementary school are a lot different, and then they start with 6th like we do in middle school, and then they count down from there on.
Take. If you are a high school student who is dreaming about attending a French university, you're in luck. You don't have to take the bac to apply. You just have to take a French language exam. And that's it. Do you have any more questions? A French language exam. You have to take the bac to apply. You just have to take a French language exam. And that's it. Do you?
Okay, excuse me. Thought I misheard her for a second. Let's go to the next slide.
Want to speak?
There we go. All right, so yeah, as you can see, the French education system is a lot different in many different aspects. And we're going to talk about that, and we're going to try and compare them in the last activity. So l'activité finale, final activity. Again, partner up with somebody, or if you can't, write it down on your notes or something, or just think about it if you really want to. Partner up with someone and talk about the similarities and differences between the two education systems. Which system would you prefer to continue your education in, the French or American system? Do you think the American university system is, why do you think the American university system is so expensive, or why can it be so expensive? Would you like to see some French influence changes introduced in our education system? Or maybe how do you think the students might benefit from introducing American influence changes? So yeah, I just want to get y'all thinking about the two different systems. I know I didn't talk about the specifics of the American education system, but we're all in it. We know what it's like. We know what we're expecting through the rest of it. So I didn't think I needed to go into it. Plus, we got to learn a lot about the French education system, which is always fun. Yeah. So merci beaucoup à vous tous et toutes. Thank you all so much. I hope everything goes well this week, this weekend. Hope everybody's enjoying themselves. They're getting ready for holiday season soon. Halloween was just this past weekend, and Thanksgiving at the end of the month, Christmas next month. Time is flying. But anyway, I hope everyone is doing well. Hope school goes well. Have a good day. Have a good weekend whenever you see the video. Thank you so much. And we'll be back next week to talk about holidays and traditions. So I'll see you then. Bye-bye.